Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to do something I don't think I've done before. I'm going to give you a review of my favorite 3 or 4 pens. 3 of them are fountain pens. The other is a roller ball. It's a kitless roller ball that I made a while back. But I'm going to give everybody an overview of those. And kind of stay tuned, because in there somewhere I give some tips on how to take care of fountain pen nibs, how to break them in. And that will, if you're a fountain pen person, that will help you later on. Appreciate you tuning in, and stay tuned. A while back I built this Penn State Industries, I think it's called the Demonstrator Fountain Pen. And I said at the time that I didn't like it. It didn't feel balanced to me. But you know, the more that I've used it, the more I think I like it. If you look at it, here's, if you remember the blank we made, blue box elder burl, flanked by some, don't remember what it was. But I kind of like the pen, and I get a lot of comments on it because it's unique. And it does write pretty nice, actually. This one is the Psi Demonstrator Fountain Pen. Writes pretty nice. I carry it quite often. Especially I carry it to church and to work sometimes. But when I made it, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I think you should give it a try. If you're a fountain pen person, you should give it a try. It's a pretty good little pen. My next favorite fountain pen, actually the PSI was not my favorite. I just wanted to review that because I made it a few months ago. By the way, there'll be a link to that video in the description and maybe in an end card at the end. But this one is probably either number 1 or number 2 of my favorites. This is a Monteverde Initia, and it's very attractive. I love blue. If you can see, it's kind of got a satin blue, and this blank is a carbon fiber look, a real dark black carbon fiber, and I really like it. The only thing I wish I could change would be the nib. They put a black nib on it, which looks good with the rest of the pen, but I'd rather had a gold nib, and it writes really, really nice. Of course, with any fountain pen you have to break it in. And I'll tell you how to do that real quick. If you can get an old paper sack, if you can find paper sacks anymore, just take your little strip about this big, and you take your nib and take your pen, and you just write figure 8s in it on that fountain pen, on that piece of paper, brown paper sack. You just do that, write figure 8s over and over and over again, a couple of times a week. And what that does, by writing a figure 8 with your handwriting, it'll fine-tune that nib to your handwriting, and it does it on all around the nib. It's just a real good break-in exercises. Fountain pens are a personal thing. When you break one in, it writes best for you. If you give it to somebody else to write with, it may not write real well, especially if you give it to a left-hander. It's really different. But even anybody's hand angle is different. And when you use one a lot, you break that fountain pen in to your hand angle, your writing style. And this one's trying to dry up on me. I haven't used it in a few days, but this one is it's my favorite. I carry it a lot, and it writes real nice. That's one thing about a fountain pen. If you don't use it pretty often, you may have some trouble with it drying up, but it seems to be loosening up pretty good here. Monteverde Initia is what it is, and I don't even know if they carry this color combination anymore, but I really like it. Again, I tried to change it to, I think this is a number 6 Wojo nib. I prefer a number 5. This is a medium, and I prefer a fine, but a gold fine nib for this is over $100, and I wasn't going to spend that much for a nib replacement when it writes just very nice anyway. Yeah, it's finally loosening up. Yeah. Monteverde Initia. This is the pen that I carry, fountain pen that I carry the most. It's a Pilot Vanishing point. It's very unique. It is a fountain pen, but it clicks. And the nib disappears back up in the body, kind of seals off so it doesn't dry out. I really like this, and you can see it's a bluish carbon fiber look. Really, really an attractive pen. And one thing good about it, if you notice the clip and the nib, so that when you store it in your pocket, the nib is up. So it's not going to stain in your pocket because you set it in your pocket like this with the nib retracted, but it's not going to, if it leaks, it's not going to stain any clothing or anything. It's really a nice pen, and I've come to really like it. It writes Pilot Vanishing point. Appropriately named. This is a fine nib. When I first got it, it had a medium point nib in it, and it was too messy. It was broad, too much ink hit the paper. But and I just recently got in my fine point nib, and I just really love this fountain pen. It's very nice. Writes smooth, writes nice, and I've just about got it broken in by using this figure 8 exercise on some brown paper sack. So Pilot Vanishing point. On all of these you can use either a converter or the little ink cartridges. I think I've got converter in these two and maybe an ink cartridge in this one. I don't know. I really recommend this pen. It's if you like fountain pens. And the last pen that I'm going to review today, oddly enough, this is a bespoke or a kitless pen that I made years ago. I actually made it for my wife, and she doesn't carry it. And it's going to be similar, the process of making it's going to be similar to the wooden walnut pen with the acrylic inserts that we're going to make here in a few weeks. The processes will be the same. I made the body, the section, the cap, the finial, and they all unscrew with threads. But if you noticed, this is a roller ball. And this thing just writes and writes and writes and writes. It's a roller ball with a cartridge. Those 2-inch or international cartridges. It's got fountain pen ink in it, but it just writes incredible And again, it's one that I made, which I really, it carries a special meaning to you. And it's very similar, if you remember this one that we made a new cap for here a while back. I'm going to have to make another cap because this one cracked. You see here, it's got a crack in it, and the threads are really loose. There was a link, I'll give you a link to the video where I made this cap not long ago. I've got another one glued up, and I'm going to replace this cap. But these two pens are real close to the same. They write real similar. They're both roller balls with ink cartridges, and this one is my favorite, the one that's with this mesquite body, but I can't carry it right now because of the cap. I just keep this old cap on it to keep it from drying up. But both of these are my favorite. I'm real happy with the section part that I made on both of these. They're slightly different, but they're personalized. This one, it's got just a real slight concave there in the middle so the finger sits nicely. This one, the concave is just a little bit more pronounced, and it's really just a little bit more comfortable. I could actually switch these two sections if I wanted to, because the body is a body and the cap's a cap. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care what section's in there as long as the threads are right. But these were kitless roller balls. And I think I got these roller ball nibs from Exotic Blanks, I think. I'll leave you a link in the description below if I did. So these are my 4 or 5 favorite writing instruments, these 3 fountain pens and these kitless or bespoke roller balls. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this was informational for you, helped you. Well, if not, I just hope you liked watching. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, do that if you will. It helps the channel a lot. I'm trying to get the channel going again. Need all the help I can get. We appreciate everybody who's watching. There'll be some links in some of the references there. I think there's a reference to a cap that I made. I think there's a video to that. There'll be a end card, I think, at the end on that video if you missed it. And also the upcoming kitless pen that we're going to make out of that walnut, where we put those acrylic inserts in. That video will be there as well. And I think here in a week or so too, I'm going to do a quick shop, not a shop tour, but 3 or 4 things that I've done recently to improve my shop that I want to share with you. Maybe you can improve your shop with these recommendations as well. You know, I'm trying to retire here before long, so I got some cost items out of the way. A couple of these are costly, a couple of them aren't. They're real simple. But stay tuned for those in a couple of weeks. Again, appreciate everybody watching, and please work safely.